Remember the early access era? When every game was dropped half-finished onto Steam? Well, I do. And there's one game that stands out from that era. Not because it was an early access game. Ironically enough, this game broke the mold and went against the grain of every game that released around that time period. No Man's Sky did something different. No Man's Sky launched as a full $60 product, except it was basically a pre-alpha. While it wasn't released in early access, it can easily be mistaken for a game that was. Now, we jump forward several years later, and the game has redeemed itself and turned into the greatest example for a less than zero into a hero. No Man's Sky didn't just redeem itself, it redefined what redemption in gaming even looks like. Launched on August 9, 2016, No Man's Sky generated massive hype as an infinite procedurally generated universe with 18 quintillion for exploration, survival, combat, and trading. Developed by a small team of around 15 employees at Hello Games, No Man's Sky achieved record-breaking initial success, peaking at 212,620 concurrent Steam players on launch day and earning itself $78 million in digital sales across platforms in its first month. However, it quickly faced severe backlash for failing to deliver on pre-launch promises shown in trailers, leading to accusations of misleading marketing and becoming one of gaming's most infamous launches. Pre-release trailers, particularly the E3 2014 gameplay trailer, showcased dynamic wildlife interactions like vast herds stampeding, predators knocking down trees, reptiles bathing in rivers, and seamless planetary landings without barriers. These elements were absent at launch. Players encountered no stampeding herds, no rivers or water bodies for animal interactions, no low-altitude ship flight below 50 meters due to invisible barriers, and no giant sandworms or massive shipwrecks on surfaces. Multiplayer was implied through statements like meeting players on planets and shared discoveries, but the launch lacked any multiplayer functionality, with players unable to see or interact, despite proximity chat, which is a weird feature to have if it's literally a single player game since there's no multiplayer, but who am I to say? Space Combat promised large-scale fleet battles with convoys traveling between stars and factions vying for territory, but players found only basic sentinel fights and rare pirate skirmishes without epic fleet engagements. Sean Murray, managing director of Hello Games, and the interviews and trailers have repeatedly affirmed features like multiplayer. And I quote, "You'll see other players."
Will you be able to play with your friends? Yeah. Can you grief other players? A little bit.
To be super clear, No Man's Sky is not a multiplayer game. Please don't go in looking for that experience.
He later added, the chances of two players ever crossing paths in a universe this large is pretty much zero.
Dynamic ecosystems and faction wars, leading to false advertising claims. The UK Advertising Standards Authority investigated 23 complaints about the Steam page materials, including 2014 trailers still used post-launch, showing unrepresentative content. Despite defenses citing procedural generation variability, The probe highlighted discrepancies in ship behaviors, animal AI, and visuals. The Advertising Standards Authority ultimately ruled that Hello Games were not misleading, noting ads showed possible experiences in an infinite universe, but public perception persisted of deliberate deception. Post-launch, Hello Games vanished publicly, making it seem like they just ditched the game and, well, players gonna have to deal with it. However, in November 2016, there was a Foundation update after months of silence. Murray explained silence avoided escalation and they focused on fixes. Realistically, you can't argue with it because they did show results that they were working on the game. And at that point, people were assuming that they abandoned the game because everything went radio silent. But what came next is what makes this story so fascinating. Post-silence, updates such as Foundation, Pathfinder, and Atlas Rises dropped unannounced, surprising players. The Foundation update that dropped in November 2016 added base building, farming, freighters, creative and survival modes. Pathfinder that released in March 2017 introduced exocraft vehicles, ship classes, and permadeaths. Atlas Rises that released in August 2017, marking the 1-year anniversary, delivered a 30-hour story, portals, missions, and economies. These updates transformed the gameplay, and the community noticed as player counts rebounded. And then, everything shifted with the NEXT Next update, released on July 24, 2018, marked a pivotal rebirth by delivering core improvements that transformed player experiences and perception. This update introduced full multiplayer, a graphical overhaul, and expanded base building, directly addressing launch criticisms while launching on Xbox. The next update enabled multiplayer for 2 to 4 players in shared instances, allowing for cooperative exploration, combat, and base building. Players could team up for space battles, joint missions, or racing exographs on shared tracks, fulfilling the pre-launch promises that were absent. Freighter missions became group activities, enhancing social depth. This feature shifted the solitary experience to collaborative, boosting replayability. Overall, the next update transformed No Man's Sky from pariah to exemplar, delivering promised features and fostering community revival. But they didn't stop at a combat. They pushed even further. No Man's Sky patch history spans from Foundation in 2016 to its recent release in 2025. By December 2025, over 30 titled updates reshaped gameplay. Just to give you an idea of how many game-changing features Hello Games added to No Man's Sky, we're gonna start after the next update. The Abyss, Visions, Beyond, Synthesis, Living Ship, Exomech, Origins, Companions, Prisms, Frontiers, Sentinels, Endurance, Waypoints, Fractal, Intercept, Echoes, Omega, Orbital, Worlds Part 1 and Part 2, Voyagers, Breach. All of these updates showed that they didn't just fix the game. They built a game with continuous streams of free content for almost a decade. So, what does this all mean? Why does this redemption matter so much? Well, by doing this, Hello Games rebuilt Fate through silent, consistent patches addressing core complaints like absent multiplayer and grind. Post-launch silence avoided defensiveness. Free updates like Endurance and Waypoint in 2022 delivered without monetization, fostering community via expeditions where players earn cosmetics collaboratively. These updates were kinda like a critique of live service pitfalls by succeeding via sustained free support, contrasting games like Cyberpunk 2077. Hello Games' model of 38 updates without DLC set expectations for accountability. No Man's Sky Redemption was uniquely important. Unlike EA or Activision, Hello Games didn't have billions. They didn't have the budget for a long-term PR campaign. They didn't charge a penny for expansions. They delivered updates for nearly a decade purely to make the game better. This is what changed public perception permanently. Hello Games could have easily charged for expansions, and honestly, no one would have blamed them, but they didn't, and that's why this redemption story hits so different. So yeah, we've come full circle. No Man's Sky became the biggest hype, and then the biggest disappointment, and now it's the best redemption story. From missing features to one of the deepest space games ever made, from PR disaster to industry role model, No Man's Sky didn't just redeem itself, it restored our belief that games can still grow, evolve, and be made with passion, and not only for profit. But what do you think? Have you played No Man's Sky recently? Have you ever played it? Are you interested in it? Me personally, No Man's Sky isn't my cup of tea, but I appreciate the work the developers put into the game. And that's all I want for games. For love to be put into it, and it isn't just about optimizing player experience. Most times the best games are games that aren't perfected for player experience, but somehow their charm can appeal to the broad masses. Either way, thank you for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, and see you in the next one.